Have you ever ruined your own life? Recently in China, a woman donated over $90,000 to a streamer for some attention. Mind you, that money was her husband's hard work and sweat. She basically donated his livelihood to her favorite internet star. Of course, the aftermath of it was divorce and disappointment, but it happened. And it happened before then, and it will certainly happen again. If you're wondering how we even got here in the first place, well, I'm gonna try to tell you all about it, and frankly, I hope you enjoyed this video. Donating to streamers is a thing that's been around for many moons now. It evolved from an era when streaming wasn't even a thing yet. The first instances where people donated to their favorite artists just because they liked them or wished for them to continue doing what they do was not 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, not even 50 years ago. Actually, if we want to mention the very earliest known instances of this practice, we need to go way back to ancient Greece, to the 5th and 4th century BC. Yeah. We'll brush over the origins and development of the, hey, I like you and I like what you do, here's some money, until we reach modern internet times, and then we'll go over that as well. Ancient Greece, the earliest we know, where wealthy people donated to philosophers, artists, etc. Just because. It wasn't payment for a service, but rather it was support because they valued their work. They valued their reputation. The mediums through which they'd show their support varied. They'd give them gifts, food, they'd fund their work, and in some cases, even offer housing. Me, Wealthimus Monetimus, like your work, Artistimus. So, you will be living in my house. Over there. Oh, thank you, sire. I won't forget it. The practice of donating to your favorite artist was embedded in our DNA since ancient times. It has always been a thing throughout history, and that is why it remained prominent to this day. People, especially who are rich enough, love to show their support and gratitude through materialistic means. It's a way for them to flex their capabilities, to show the people around them that they have money and that they are so generous and kind, and in fact that they are the best person ever. Okay, maybe in ancient Rome it wasn't as chaotic and random as today. Poets like Virgil, historians, etc. used to be financially supported by rich families who would give them a stipend just because they loved and appreciated their talent. Would I call that donating for sport? I don't know, maybe. Well, I guess not, since it was more of a patron-client system. Let's call them sponsorships. You know when patronage started to become a little bit more organized? It was during the Renaissance. It was then when people started giving away their money to artists whom they admired simply because they wanted them to continue creating what they create. Notable beneficiaries of this practice were Leonardo da Vinci, Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, Donatello. They were really talented considering they're just turtles. The most famous OnlyFans subscribers of the Renaissance era that I can think of were the Medici family. But anyway, let's not dwell on ancient history. Let's move on instead to recent history, the 1700s and 1800s, when it was probably the first time normal people started supporting ones they admired. For example, at the time, newspapers ran subscription lists where people could donate money to help writers publish their smut. Work, their books. The famous French writer Voltaire, Charles Dickens, or Mark Twain, they all had fan-funded subscriptions. People would also simply mail them letters with money when they felt like it. During all of this history, obsession wasn't really a big problem. Sure, some rare instances of lunatics going above and beyond would occur here and there. For example, in ancient Rome, chariot racing was a thing. A very popular thing, and the racists were extremely famous. Racers. The racers were famous. Anyway, a crazy documented story tells us about a fan. This fan used to donate a lot of money to this one chariot racer. He was his absolute favorite. As the time went by, his obsession grew, to the point he threw himself onto the funeral pyre of that racer when he passed away, and effectively himself in the process out of loyalty and devotion. But it wasn't until modern times celebrities that this whole thing that this video is about began to go downhill. Enter the 1900s. During the early days of that millennia, radio fan clubs were a big thing. People would send gifts and money, donating to their favorite musicians, actors, and broadcasters. As that went on for years, showbiz became a big thing and fan obsession too. Like the case of the Marlin Six, a group of 6 dedicated superfans who were obsessed with Marilyn Monroe in the 1950s. Although not a dangerous group of fans, but still very weird. You should check their story out, it's very fascinating. Other celebrities in later times weren't as lucky as Marilyn Monroe was in regards to this whole superfan obsession thing, like the tragic case of Rebecca Schaeffer from 1989. Robert John Bardo was a 19-year-old obsessed stan of Rebecca. That's fan and stalker, by the way. Stan, a term I really dislike. Unless I'm listening to Eminem. John stalked his favorite actress for 3 consecutive years. His fixation on her was unreal, and it ended very tragically, unfortunately. That was after she appeared in a sex scene in Class Struggle of Beverly Hills. John was so disappointed, and his delusion led him to believe that she had betrayed him and was, quote, becoming just another Hollywood whore. End quote. He hired a private investigator to find out where she lived. He went to her home and tried to give her letters as well as an autograph she had previously signed for him. But after she asked him not to visit again, he came back an hour later and shot her in the chest in front of her home. Her last words were reportedly, "Why? Why?" She was only 21 years old, by the way. Things only became much more worse in later years. Introducing PayPal in 1998, and after it, the birth of, "Hey, I like you. I like what you do. Here's some money" culture. And it spawned a herd of psychopaths, losers, who would dedicate their entire lives to liking and supporting someone online. Just because they're super famous. The delusions devolved into parasocialism and downright danger. A lot of people became a shell of what they used to be, by their own miserable hands. Especially in this day and age with the massive spread of OnlyFans culture and Twitch addictions. Many strange and shocking cases happened over the years too, and because of multiple different streamers. To the point I have a vast variety of examples to pick from and showcase to you in this video. Like what happened to streamer Emiru recently at TwitchCon. And many other times too. One time she was with 2 other streamers and a fan kept stalking them.
Wait, so I'm gonna keep following her.
Huh?
I'm gonna keep following her.
Not another one! No! You're gonna have to get in line, there's too many stalkers!
That's not how you really riz.
Bro, what the fuck?
That's not the riz.
Get behind me! Okay. Oh my god.
Kendrick.
Are we getting churros?
Kendrick, add him to the list.
So, I picked 4 notable stories that I think are the best to convey exactly what I want. And by best, I mean the worst. Please, don't be like these maniacs. The first example is not as bad of a case, but I still want to talk about it just because of how strange, bizarre, and funny it is. A few years ago, a man named Eric Estavillo sued Twitch for over $25 million because he couldn't stop shaking his thing while watching female streamers. He did that to the point of injuring himself and then blamed Twitch for his disgusting obsession. It's still, to this day, one of the funniest stories I've ever read about in my life. Moist Critical made a video about it at the time. It's amazing. If you go back to the start of this video, I mentioned the very recent story about a Chinese woman who donated all of her husband's hard-earned money, a whopping $94,000, to a streamer she liked over the span of 8 years. While her husband worked hard for years and entrusted her with the money he made, she used it as the streamer's personal piggy bank. Like, no, 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 no. It's not our money. It's the streamer's money, we're just holding it for him. Don't you understand? And apparently, not only that, but after her husband found out, she couldn't account for an additional $67,000. of the family's savings account. And after some more digging, he found out that she took out a loan of $11,000 after the money ran out, leaving him with only 30 cents remaining in his bank account and a lot of debt. Naturally, he divorced her because she ruined his and his kids' lives. Another story involves a wife who went grocery shopping only to discover at the checkout that her credit card was declined. So after checking what was going on, she found out that both the family's checking and savings account were completely empty. $38,000 disappeared. They ceased to exist. No, you clearly don't know what I'm talking about, so let me clue you in. The husband was not in danger, viewer. He was the danger. The wife confronts him about the money, and then what? You think he denied? No, he is the one who pays. I got a little carried away. The husband donated all of the money to various Twitch streamers, and when confronted about it, he said it's his money anyway, and then disappeared from home for several days. Absolute degenerate behavior. Parasocialism at its finest. The last example I want to talk about is of a sad story that ended in tragedy very recently, unfortunately. A Korean streamer by the name of Yoon Ji-ah, forgive me if I said her name wrong, was murdered by a VIP donor named Choi. Choi donated over $70,000 to her streams over time. That's like 100 million won. It earned him VIP status in her community, and that comes with a lot of perks. He used that to convince her he was some big shot CEO and that he wanted to do business with her, when in reality, he was actually drowning in debt and was not a CEO at all. After some time, Yoon discovered his lies and tried to distance herself from him, and then terminated their supposed business, since there was no actual business, and he was a controlling, obsessed freak who likely thought there was some romantic interest involved. Choi did not like that one bit. He was seen forcibly pulling her into a car in the afternoon and then strangled her in it. He then proceeded to stuff her in a suitcase, and then he dumped her body on a mountain. He was arrested 12 hours after that. What a sad, tragic story. All this to drive home the point that donating to your favorite famous people is a practice that can go out of hand very quickly, especially if mental problems are present. Some creators choose to completely shut it down, like Moist Critical. Recently, he deactivated all donation mediums from his content and asked his admirers to please stop sending him money, while others encouraged their viewers to do so. And I'm not shaming anybody. Hell, go ahead and leave a super comment or something. I would really appreciate it, actually. But well, some other creators literally beg for their followers' money. And in some cases, it can even get really disgusting.
$5 a month. How do you have hours of time to watch me and not $5? I don't know. What are you doing with your life where you have hours of time to watch Twitch and not $5 to provide for the content that you're watching? Because it's like people just really really don't respect me as a content creator.
So what are you waiting for? Give me money! How can you have time and attention to watch this entire video and not the decency to send me money? How? A lot of people suffer from a lot of problems, and this easy access to celebrities and their life through the internet can make it even worse. Delusions, parasocial relationships, manic episodes, depression and anxiety, agoraphobia, unhealthy attachments, intimacy problems, low self-esteem, and many, many, many other problems. Be careful when browsing the internet and when consuming your favorite content. Support your favorite people, sure, but only fall in love with what they do, be it art in all of its forms, education, lifestyle, etc., and not with the people themselves. You are not their friend, and you likely do not have a shot of being any sort of partner for them. Don't be weird and take care of yourself. Please. If you've made it this far, hi, I'm Frankly, and this is my channel. Consider subscribing, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love for a shout out in your Instagram story, so let me know in the comments, and I'll see you again soon.